fresh in my mind. We've got to do a recap. Here we go. Right. Okay, so overall impressions. First, just massively overall impressions. I think they did what I wanted them to do, which is basically don't go crazy, you know. They did go a bit crazy with the weather. That's very drastically different, but they, you know, they generally just change numbers here and there with a couple of bigger tweaks. So some people said, I saw some people say it was disappointing, but I don't want them to go overboard that it just creates a different type of annoying card. I'm very surprised about some of the changes. We'll get on to some of it, shall we? Well, basically, first of all, I took some notes. These are not card notes. These would just be the general notes. So the black mulligan screen is gone. For someone who hasn't used Gwent up in a long time, that's a great thing. I got the feeling it will look a bit strange, but I mean, that's fine, you know. Just a little note in the middle of the screen or something saying they are mulliganing a card, and then the black mulligan screen, UI change. I think everyone's happy about that. Really happy. They're planning more agility units in there. So they're implementing more agility into the game was another thing they mentioned, which is a bit strange. But I don't mind it. It depends if a card needs it. There are some cards which I feel don't need it, and there are some cards which I feel do need it. And, you know, they've got to do it case by case. One thing also they're looking at is trigger consistency. These are things like Savage Bear and Death Wish and when things trigger. And they want to get that more consistent, which is what those things are all going to be coming out, you know, in the future. That's something they're aiming for. Okay, so we'll go through a couple of the card changes now, and I can explain some of them if you'd like. So the biggest ones first was weather. It's a huge change. Frost now only hits 2 per turn maximum. It hits the lowest strength unit for 2 damage every turn on that row. So I don't know how good it's going to be, actually. I really don't know. It seems like it's kind of the old rain, but it's got a maximum of hitting 1 unit. Right. So it's going to take 5 turns for Biting Frost to get a bronze value. Now, what we could see... Now, inherently, Biting Frost is crap because of that change. It's a crap card. You don't want to take it. But what you could see an evolution of the meta in sort of a way, in that because we take a lot of these clear sky units, like, you know, the Nausicaa Brigade and the Archgriffin stuff, we take a lot of these things. Now, because Biting Frost is crap, you might not take those as many of those anymore. And so when you do play Frost, maybe it'll stay on for longer. This is massive theory, but that's basically the only positive I could say about it. They wanted weather to be just not, you know, not an archetype by itself, not a completely oppressive thing. And to be honest, Biting Frost is not. You can happily sit in Biting Frost with 2 damage per turn, per row. It's not that hard. It takes 5 turns, but again, you can clear it. But maybe you won't take as many of those. You won't be required to take as many of those now. So, yeah, it's not really playable. It's, like I said, it takes 5 turns. But maybe in the future, when people remove these weather clearing because nobody's playing Biting Frost, that you can play Biting Frost and get it to tick for some damage. But still, like, it's not amazingly playable. Fog does what it does now. Where's the fog? There it is. So the fog will damage the highest strength unit by 2, but it's only one of them. So again, it does what it does now, but it never levels. So again, this is another thing where it's just not that viable. Really, you know, foglet decks, ancient foglets, I don't think they're going to be used much. It's where the fog is fog. Here it is. Yeah. Weather just seems to be really hurt. Now the best weather seems to be rain now, where rain will hit for 5 damage per turn if they've got 5 units. It damages the lowest unit on the row by 1, and it hits 5. So 5 of the lowest units on the row, and it'll do 1 damage to each. So this is definitely, if they want to try Axeman, rain is what you want. how easy is it to get 5 units on a row? Skellige really can't move you around too much. Yeah, I mean, I think Rain is okay. I know it's not the same as Frost. Frost in the current build is way better than this Rain will be in the future. But it's like a capped Frost, isn't it? It's effectively just 5 damage to 5 different units, which is kind of like what Frost did. And what are the odds most of the time, for Skellige at least, that you're going to get 5 units on a row? So this could still work with the Axeman, I think. But for Monster Weather, I don't think so. So I still think this could work well with Axeman. It's just capped at 5 units, which generally you won't have too many more than 5. Sometimes you could have like 10 though, which is crazy, but yeah, 1 damage to the 5 lowest units. Yeah. So this is the weather I think you'll see a lot of now. You'll see a lot of rain. If they're going to take any weather, it will be rain that they'll take. Because then it's 5, 10, 15, maybe. Okay. Next card we're going on to. Oh, we saw Skellige Storm change to... Oh, sorry, Mighterbracker's Storm. It got changed from 3-2-1 damage to 2-2-1 damage. So it got the Mighterbracker treatment. The Mighterbracker's Storm, so to speak. Which is fair enough. I think that's a fair change. It's yeah, Rain Axeman is 10 value per turn if they've got 5 units on a row. And that's only on 1 row. So yeah, I definitely think Rain is still okay with the Axeman. Yeah, so yeah, Mighterbracker's Storm. Yeah. There was another thing too. What was the other weather? Aeromancy. I think Aeromancy change is great. I really do. It's going to be a lot less annoying now when they play something like Skellige Storm and then they replay it from the graveyard. They can't do that anymore. It's only bronze or silver from your deck, which I think is a lot better. Makes the card a little bit worse, of course, because the optimal strategy was to use the silver weather and then use Aeromancy. But obviously this has got worse. But it's just some deck thinning. It's kind of like the Owl's double cross of weather. I don't think it'll be seen too much. White Frost, they didn't mention it, but I imagine it still plays 2 Biting Frosts. To be honest, they didn't mention what that did. The next thing is Stammelford, and I actually predicted this one, that it damages only up to 6 enemies for 2. So again, this is still very good with the Axeman. It's worth 12 damage plus 6 for Axeman if it hits all 6. So much more reasonable, and you have to consider Van Hamar is going to get this as well, so much more reasonable there. And they've changed Overdose. Was it Overdose? No, it must have been Immune Boost. Oh, it is Overdose that did it. Yeah, because that was the most underused one, wasn't it? So Overdose is reverse Stammelford now. It boosts 6 unit maximum for 2 strength on your side of the board. And while I think Stammelford's is better than Overdose will be, because removal is better than buffing, because Stammelford's has benefits with the Axeman, you know, they'll go up by 6. You might be able to remove some small minions, which they could possibly buff later. Whereas Overdose, you buff, and there's no extra benefit there, really. Maybe protecting things on the board, like the eggs and stuff, but... yeah, it's a reverse Stammel. Okay, 6 units by 2. So I think that's an interesting, because no one's using this anyway, so... yeah, they're trying something new with that, which I wholeheartedly... I appreciate. That's probably one of the few. There's only like... apart from the Bronze Weathers and this card... there might be 1 or 2 others, but really they didn't change abilities on many other cards. Which is, I don't know. Previously, in a previous stream and stuff, they said that they were going to do something about the cards which are not played very often. And I don't know if they've done it. They've done it with this card, but I think that's really it. I mean, they didn't change Skarl. They didn't change Harold the Cripple. They didn't change Regis. You know, these cards which are just not played very much at all. There's a couple, but I don't know if this is actually what they meant, or whether they're still planning to do that a bit more. Will it still remove armor? It'll remove... No, this won't remove armor. Because it's going to change to reverse stamel now. Yeah, this could be good in, like, swarm decks. It makes sense for swarm decks. But don't forget, reverse stamel, which is hitting 6 units for 2. This will buff 6 units for 2. It's 12 strength. Which is the same as a swallow potion. I mean, sorry, a thunderbolt potion. But harder to get. You know? Now, they don't have to be on the same row, which is one benefit, I suppose. But it's harder to get 6 units on the board than it is to get 3. I'm just saying. Okay, all of this. Alzor's double cross and decoy. Do they boost now, I believe? Oh, this boosts anyway. No, this, yeah, I think it boosts now, right? Oh, Renew was the card which I completely... And Marching Orders, yeah, boosts too. This is a card that I completely got wrong. I said they wouldn't change it back to what it was, but they apparently have changed it back to what it was. It will resurrect only golds from your graveyard in the future, in the next patch. Which, I don't know. It was a pretty obscure card, a niche card that wasn't used very much when it was like that before. But now they've changed it back, and I don't imagine it's going to get any more popular, to be honest. But I do think it's decent. It's an interesting change. It was very, very, very popular. You still think it is good, but it wasn't good before, was the thing. No one really used it when it was only in your graveyard before. Okay. I really actually find Young Kelveet's ability, his change, to be an interesting one. So, yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. You used Renew before? Yeah, it's a lot more strict Renew. In the past, it was, you know, you may use it, but you may not. But now it's very open. A lot of people used it. But now it'll go back to being a very niche card, I think. Apparently, yes. So that's a good thing. We'll come on to that in a minute. So Jean Kelveet. Now, the golems come out first and foremost, which is great. But he can't pull golds. And I think a lot of people moaned about that. It's another nerf for Jean Kelveet. But then again, if you're pulling your silvers with him, because most of the time you'll use your emissaries to pull your bronzes, you'll use him to pull your silvers, and then you'll probably get your golds anyway. But it just means that you can't use Jean Kelveet into Cahir, into Tibor. But the golems come out first immediately. There is no Emir and Chair infinite loot because Cahir's stubborn. So I thought that was an interesting change. A lot of people were a bit upset about that one, actually. I think it's interesting. I think you can still work it. It makes him a bit more reasonable, I think, rather than playing like 50 golds in one turn. Now, Emir has gone up to 6, and a lot of people are confused that he can pick up golds. He can't. It's the same wording here, actually. He's just got to 6. You return an ally from your hand. Notice it doesn't say including gold there. And then play a card from your hand. Can be gold. So you pick up a non-gold and you can play a gold if you want. So, but he's 6 strength now, so he's a bit stronger. Because they want him to be stronger. So one thing someone mentioned now, Alzor's Double Cross and Marching Orders are now going to be boosting strength. And we mentioned that a second ago. And as someone commented in the chat, if you use Marching Orders on something like the Grave Hag, then Peter can like destroy it before it goes off. Yes, that would be the case. Peter would reset it back down to 2 and then banish it, whereas currently the Grave Hag would go to 4 and then Peter would set it down to 1. So that opens up some Mardrum Peter style things, you know. Yeah, Cahir will repeat his ability with no golds, yes. Okay, we saw... So, I mean, I guess we're going to have to talk about Dagon. Dagon hasn't changed, but the Biting Frost, Impenetrable Fog, and Torrential Rain have changed. How do you consider Dagon now? They're trying not to allow you to have a dedicated weather deck. I think weather has been severely hurt, especially monsters, which is mostly frost or fog based. They're not really rain based, and I consider rain to be the best of the three. Like Dagon is 6 strength plus a 2 strength, a 2 strength, or maybe a 5 strength if it gets cleared. And I'm just going to skip down straight away to the new Wild Hunt Hounds. They're going to be 4 strength and play a Biting Frost. Now again, Biting Frost is not the best weather out there, I don't think, anymore. And so if it gets cleared straight away, it's worth 6 strength bronze. And I think that means it's not good enough to stick in decks that people want. I don't think it'll be played very much, honestly. I mean, it's good deck thinning. It's also a mulligan pain, but I just don't think people will do that. Rain seems better now. Right, so there was some strength changes, like that's gone to 3. A lot of things have gone up in Northern Realms by 1 strength, like field medics and stuff as well. Let's move on to the Elven Mercenaries. Now, a lot of people think, yeah, I don't think the Wild Hunt Hound needed to go down in strength, considering the frost is bad. The Elven Mercenary is now loyal. You can do Elven Mercenary, rally, Elven Mercenary, rally, Elven Mercenary, rally, Elven Mercenary by cheating. But you know what I mean. They're bringing that back. Now, in Blue Mountain Commanders don't pick up units again, so it's not going to be as bad. But, you know, it gives you a little bit. It's some people. I don't mind this. I think it was overly complicated to give them 2 strength disloyal and then ambush back. I don't think it's going to be an issue, to be honest. I think this is going to be fine. Because they've seen a lot of nerfs since that particular time when Elven Mercenary ambush, rally. Sorry, Elven Mercenary, rally, Elven Mercenary, rally, Elven Mercenary. Because they used to be 4, I think. But now they're only 2. It's not really that big a deal, I don't think. But it's nice for them to have it. Now, the Axemen have lost their veterans, so they're 3 strength all the time, which means they're always in range of Peter. They're always in range of a Marjoram. Doesn't matter what round they're on, that is a big buff to people facing against Axemen. Doesn't matter what round, you know, they're always in range. They're in range of Cypher and Wily, but he doesn't reset the base, and most of the time they will get Frost or something to hit you with him on the board, so he's boosted a little bit. But with the change to Frost being not very good for the Axemen, Rain is what the Axemen will use now. I don't believe, I'm gonna just check Grimace. I think Grimace does Fog, right? Grimace does Fog, yeah, so he's not got a great one there. If he was the Grave Hag, then he would have a great weather for the Axemen. But the Axemen, you could try and use them. They're a little bit more vulnerable now, because they can always die. But Rain is what you're going to see with them if they want to try it out. I still think they could make it work. Definitely. Obviously, you can't use White Frost now, though. Because I think that's actually a really important thing. Because they've switched the Rain and the Frost around, White Frost now plays 2 Biting Frosts, not 2 Impenetrable Rain. So you don't get 2 Rains, which are doing like 5 damage apiece on 2 rows. So I think that's a big deal. If you're trying to build this deck, you take 3 Torrential Rains, and that's really all you've got. You know, you can't have Biting Frost. Well, you can, but it won't have the same impact as it did in this current patch. And I think that's a big deal, actually. Yeah, some strength changes here on these going up and such. The Clan Drum and Shield Maidens. Aeromancy only plays from deck, just to let you know. Doesn't play from the graveyard. Clan Drum and Shield Maidens have lost the veteran tag. That's it. So they're always worth 15. Okay. I still think that the 6 damage is good. They're still good cards. You get 2 deck thinning. There's no reason to actually wait with them now. Like, sometimes you might wait to the 3rd round because then they're worth 21 currently. But now you can use them whenever you feel like you need to use them. And they're still good. 6 strength removal. Kind of 7. Because you need to have them wounded first. So whatever it is needs to be wounded. It's still very, very good. You know, for a bronze, removing a 7 strength unit is pretty good. So, you know, that's still good and a good change. Yep, I like that. The spotter got increased to 4. Now there was a lot of reveal buffs. Reveal archetype got buffed a lot. And the spotters went up to 4 base. So they're going to get higher. Higher and higher. Raise the roof. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so they're always a 15 strength play with two deck thinning and such. And it kind of encourages you to play them in round 1 or round 2, so you actually get the benefit of the deck thinning. Well, this guy boosts an ally by 1 if it's not a machine, and if it is a machine, it boosts it by 2 and adds 1 armor. So less effective for non-machines and more effective for machines. So it's more of a machine archetype build they're looking for. The Selena Harpy's been nerfed to 3. Harpy eggs are the same. So it's worth 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's worth 11. You know, split between 5 and 6. I haven't mentioned the Lord of it. We're going down. So he's right at the bottom. So these being 3, are they still auto-include? Because they're on the verge of being auto-include. Now they're still worth 11. Carryover is important. Eating eggs is quite important. I still think they will be used, honestly. I do still think they'll be used. Yeah. But it's becoming close. It's becoming very close. I think it could go either way, but I still think they will be used. Surprised the Queen's Guard didn't get a change. They've been changed every single patch apart from this one. Okay. Let's have a look. What else we got? Oh, a big change to ballistas. I think it's ballistas and reinforced ballistas, right? They no longer ignore armor. Right. They no longer ignore armor, which is great. I've said that for a long time, that bronze units should not ignore armor because armor's there to protect you. You can make a silver or possibly gold that ignore armor because it can be like a tech choice. But this is a great change because it doesn't just invalidate Northern Realm armor. So Northern Realm armor might come through a little bit more. It might not, but it might do with the buff towards, you know, the siege platform and other things including armor. So maybe that'll come forward. We've mentioned the Wild Hunt Hound. The Dolbafana Trapper was one that went under the radar a bit, but it got buffed, really. Bit of nerf as well. But it's 6 strength body. And the Fireball Trap now does 2 strength instead of 3. So it's not a lacerate, it's just 2 strength on an entire row. It also doesn't ignore armor though. Everything else is the same, so buffed by 1 point. It only does 2 on a row and doesn't ignore armor. You reckon it got nerfed hard? No, I was just saying it got buffed there. Yeah, it did get nerfed here quite a bit. Not ignoring armor hurts, but it's only going to be a marginal difference, I think. Normally you don't have too many things with armor. Unless you come across the armor deck, of course. But yeah, I mean, there was something wrong with this card. It was too powerful, so I think they've tried to deal with that by making it 2. He got buffed to 6. I always felt he was good already, but maybe not. 5, 6, 7, 8 and a move. Now he's 9 and a move. A lot of these ones haven't changed. He's gone to 7. Again, Frost is even worse. I mean, Fog is even worse now, so I don't think he'll be used. But he starts at 7. I believe they fixed the Savage Bear issue with him and his little lesser spawn, so his little babies. All of these are relatively the same. We're getting close to him. Now, these guys have got into self-wounding now. Redeni No Light is agile. Well, great. Yeah. these have gone into self-wounding. So they strengthen by 1 for each damaged ally. And then it damages itself. So it really pumps forward the Warcry aspect. You know, use Django Fett to hit your units and use the Clanon Crate warriors to wound. So you've got a lot of units which are ready for the Warcry. And then you place him down and he'll buff up for the amount of units on your side that are wounded. He'll probably get to like, I don't know, 12 or 13. Then he'll take damage by 1. So I like the fact that he's more Warcry now. Because he obviously wasn't earlier. And he wasn't used very much. But now, hopefully, I don't know if he'll still be good. He's probably still not good. But at least it's interesting. It's something to explore, which is nice. The Savage Bear is a big one. Savage Bear is now 7 strength. Right? The wording's weird as fuck. But, basically, it hits units played from hand. It hits enemies played from hand. That makes sense, right? Plays from it hits enemies played from hand. He's 7 strength, which is higher, which is unusual. But he hits enemies played from hand. So what that means is that it doesn't hit spawned units, is basically what it's saying. It doesn't hit, you know, both players. It only hits one player, the enemy. But if I'm Skellige and I place a Savage Bear down and then I play I don't know, a spy, right? If I play Iris, he will hit it because it's a disloyal unit, therefore an enemy, right? And I played it from hand. So 7 strength, and he hits enemies but not spawned units. I can't believe they raised his strength to 7, because he's still going to be good, right? Like, he's still going to wreck musters. Like the the Foglets. Actually, no. He won't wreck muster because they're not played from hand. It also doesn't hit summoned units. No, yeah, because that's not played from hand. That's what I'm just saying. Yeah, mustered units like Temerian infantrymen, witchers, Foglets. Actually, the Woodland Spirit's got a free ride. It's not going to get hit by anything. So it waits to be seen. But in theory, the maximum value this can get is 16. In theory, I'd wager, you know, about 10 units played from hand from the opponent. So I think it might be all right. I think it might be all right. I think we're getting a bit of knee-jerk reaction. Reading it, yeah. Everyone check Reddit, but I think that could be okay as a 7. It hits non-spawn, so the Death Wish archetype's a little bit more viable now. You don't have to auto-quit. Yeah. It's still an easy plus 10, but 10 strength bronzes are not overly uncommon, you know? So he's still nice, but he's not absurd. He's easily 10, yeah, because he's 7 to start with. So he's still pretty good. But it just means you have to take an Owl's Thunder or a lock to beat him. Obviously, they've fixed the issues with the locks. A lot of people are saying, you know, the bear seems fine, yeah. Maybe it needs to be 7. Maybe it could have stayed at 6. You know, we'll just have a play. I like the idea that I'm totally happy it doesn't hit spawned units. I'm surprised they haven't changed this guy to sort of coincide with that. Where's it gone? This guy. This guy will still get buffed for spawned units. It's not so hurtful because it still allows the Death Wish archetype, but you are going to just boost them up crazy amounts. But okay, so all of these are relatively similar. That's got to 8, which may make a difference, may not. They've removed the effort tag from him, so he just boosts people by half, which is great. He's got veteran, so he's 7, 8, 9. So he's Warcry's coming in because we saw, you know, loss of effort tag there, which is great. We saw that Berserker Marauder, which just re-enables it a bit more. So yeah, I think I'm interested to play a Warcry deck. Give it a go. Might try Northern Realms Armor too. That's an 8 now. A lot of, like I said, a lot of reveal buffs. The Spotter's got buffed by 1. This got buffed by 1. There's a big nerf with Leo Bonhart though. Okay, so there you go. That's all them. Now for silver wise, don't believe any of these have changed. Actually, there's something I didn't actually mention, which is Blood Curdling Roar. There's a huge thing with Blood Curdling Roar, and this affects Grimace as well. Blood Curdling Roar, the bear is now 11. Can't believe I missed that. The bear is 11, but what is more important is that it's doomed. So, because a lot of people were using bears to, you know, resurrect, you'd use the Blood Curdling Roar, then you resurrect in Skellige mainly, an 12 strength minion. It was quite strong. Or monsters would consume the 12 strength. Now it's doomed. You can't do that. So it's really just an 11 strength power play on that one round. But 12 is not even overly, you know, it's not even worth 12 because you have to destroy something on your side unless it's a rot toss or something. So usually it's about 10. There you go. I definitely think that's a good change. We'll see how it plays out. It might be not used very much. Still could be used for harpy eggs or rot tossers and trappers and stuff, but you know, or things like Siri, fake Siri and stuff. What's the thing? Yeah, did I mention about decoy? I did, didn't I? That it's only boosted strength now. So yeah, Grimace has changed because of the Blood Curdling Roar. It may not be as effective now, because you can't resurrect the bear later on. Still decent though, but it's 11 strength that you get in if you play him into that. Now Roach, something happened to Roach. Whenever you play a gold card from your hand, play Roach from your deck. I think this is before the deployability, so you've got Milva into Roach enabled for you again. He comes out before the ability activates, whatever that is. So, you know, Milva's ability can activate. However, I don't know if the chat's going wild. Milva won't do what she used to do because the opponent has to have a card on the board for Milva to work. So, you can use this with Vilgefortz. That's normal. But the fact is, Roach doesn't come out every time anymore, so the Vilgefortz combo is weakened itself. And Milva doesn't work because the opponent has to have a card that it can return to hand, otherwise she just plain old doesn't work. So you can't get card advantage with Roach and Milva. So yeah, he comes out and then they do their ability, which is good for things like Vilgefortz if you're on like the final round on an empty board or something. My fried by Vilgefortz now. You're fried. Yeah, you will get fried, but again, he doesn't come out again and again and again unless you use Nilfgaard do have. Is it a Sire that can put him back, which might be useful? Okay, Nithral saw a massive change. He's 7 strength now, no armor. So he's still an Alzor away from dying. No one really plays that yet. Savage Bear's at 7 as well. So maybe Alzor might come back in. But he now... Frost damage on the opponent's side is increased to 3. But don't forget, Frost only hits 1 unit maximum. So I think that's a fair trade. Interesting. I just don't think you'll see Frost too often. I think people will try it. I don't think it'll work. We'll see. Yet the reveal archetype with Cynthia, she got a boost of 1 base strength again, so that's going up all the way. These two didn't get changed, which I predicted they wouldn't. He's a 7 now, so he's a little bit more reliable. Again, with the machine, maybe the armor archetype. He's harder to remove. Alzor needed to do so. Now, Holger Blackhand didn't change at all. At least they didn't show us. They didn't mention Holger Blackhand. He's still a 5/6/7 that does 5 damage and 3 wounding, so he's still an auto-include in pretty much everyone's deck. Especially since he still works very well with Golmar and such. All of these are fine, I think. They didn't mention Donna! Oh my god, I didn't realise until now, but they did not mention Donna. He's still a veteran, unless they've changed it. And he still toggles a lock and discards a random bronze from the opponent's deck. I'm going to have a good talk with Pavel about that. Good old talk. Skjarl didn't change, unfortunately. Yeah, some big changes. He's killed Helgimar. Okay, sure. Big changes to Olgerd and Morkvarg, and that is, Olgerd is 9 now. But the biggest change is that they weaken themselves by half, rounding up. So there's a lot of contention on what this is, but I think it will be 9 goes down to 4 because you're rounding up the half, right? So it's 4.5, round it up to 5, That's how much you're taking off. There's my UK maths. So All Geared is 9 to 4 to 2 over the 3 rounds. And the same with Morkvarg. He's an 8, gets half to 4, gets half to 2. However, it's a big thing because this Kruk, Morkvarg, Kruk, All Geared, Wild Boar of the Sea, the more you buff them in round 1, the more it's going to half away from them. So that archetype's definitely lost a lot of power there. So just consider that. And I think All Geared, he loses half when he goes into the graveyard, which is very important. He doesn't get it when he resurrects, which is what he does now. It means that when he goes into the graveyard, or if you kill him, you can't consume him for 9 value because he's already going to be halved down to 4. Okay, so a monster player can't kill him, then consume him for 9. He'll consume him for 4 instead. Okay, the Johnny change is the big one. What's stopping you from playing this tactic round 2? Well, it's just not as effective round 2, is it? It'll be, yeah, well. The Johnny change is that it's pretty simple. He does exactly what he does now, but there's an incident now whereas you discard a card from your hand, which can be gold, and then if they haven't got a gold card in the opponent's hand, no, sorry, in the opponent's deck, then you don't get one because it needs to be in their deck, not in their hand or graveyard or on the board. Whereas now, if they don't have the equivalent colour in their deck, then you simply don't discard the card. So you can never lose card advantage with them, but your ability, it just might not work. Which is great. Makes them a lot safer. Everyone understand that, yeah? Sometimes you could discard a gold, and if they didn't have one in the deck, you just lost it. Whereas now, it will check before you can discard it. The most of these are the same. Serret went up to 9, so they're trying to improve him for a reveal. To be honest, Nilfgaard got loads of base strength buffs. Loads of them. Really, really powerful now. Movement Square Tower got some stuff as well. The Operator, I think this is a big change. This is a big change. The Operator is now 7 strength. And I think that's a big change because it means that he's harder to pull with Alzor's double cross, and I actually hope they wouldn't do that, to be honest. I think you need to have the Operator as 9, and I hope they revert it, because if you're playing that type of deck, then consistency is absolutely the key. And I think there are cards in the game, like 7 or 8, which, like Neneke and stuff, that you may want to have, like Morkvarg stuff, and, you know, so I think him being 7 is going to be a little bit more difficult to build decks around, but we'll have to see. But I think it means a bit. It means that it's harder to pull. Yeah, they didn't change Elias, so this is what I'm thinking, where they didn't actually change all the cards they wanted to change. You know, they said they'll change cards that are underused. Elias is one of the most underused cards. Okay, so there's some cards here. Camby hasn't changed, but Hemdel, sorry, is now a 16 strength gold. He's huge. He is huge. Now, obviously, Camby and Hjalmar, the combo still works. Maybe Camby and Morkvarg and some other gold like Avalak can still work. But he's 16. So it's going to be more difficult. To be honest, though, I generally think that if Camby works, then usually he works. It doesn't matter what strength Hemdel is, you'll beat it most of the time. So 16 probably won't make a difference unless they've got a gold that you can't shackle. But Hemdel will be 16. And so you'll have to consider that. He played a little bit less. But I'm thinking that when he works anyway. Whether he was 11 or whether he was 16. Winning by like 8 and winning by 3 is still winning. But it just gives you less room for error with the shackles, I think. Shani is now 4 and the armor has gone up to 4. I actually think that's very important because sometimes I would resurrect, what was it? The Kaitwani Siege support, is it? This one? Yeah, the Kaitwani Siege support. I'd resurrect him, and so he would be 4, gain 3 armor currently. which means he was still Alzorable. Now, not many people take Alzor, but now with Shani, it would make him an 8. Which means that you can't really remove him with removal. So I at least get a chance to use something like Hensout and stuff, which is good. So she's got a bit of a buff. Nice. The Bork change is huge. Camby gets shackled anyway. Yeah, you have to unshackle Camby, which is what they do. The Venom Tretamurph is huge. He's an 8 strength gold. And they finally took off the double Scorch. It's a single Scorch on an 8 strength body with a 3-turn timer. Okay. So we do have to consider. Now, I don't mind, even if Venom Tretamurph is not good here, it's such a big change that I'm fine with it not being great. And I think that's something which a lot of people need to think about. Right? Even if this is like, okay, they've changed it and it's interesting, but it's turned it completely shit compared to what it used to be. That's fine. They'll fine-tune it in the future, but it's an 8 strength gold with a 3-turn timer and it scorches. Maybe it should only be a 2-turn timer. That's something they can change in the future. Yeah, I think that's probably one thing that people might be saying, 2-turn timer. Because some people are comparing it to something like Shiru. Whereas, you know, Shiru gives you a Scorch in your hand and he's 10 strength. And they really can't do anything about it, where they can shackle him and stuff and stuff and stuff. But, you know, so just Igni is just strictly better. I can understand that. That could be interesting, yeah. It's 1 Scorch and Geralt is 1 Scorch. He can Scorch a 17 if they're avoiding Igni. You have to consider that though, but wow. So yeah, it's a massive change there for that. She's gone up to 5 to make it a little bit more harder to play. Not that big a deal though. Priscilla, I believe, has gone down to 4. Or she gone up to 6. I think she's gone down to 4, but she never leaves the board now. Okay. After her 4 buffs are done, she'll stay on the board. Yeah, again, so just like with Villain Tretamurph, they may change him again. Definitely. I like that they're trying something out with him, is all I like. So he hasn't changed, but with the Savage Bear change, he gets full value now. He's still a Fog, though. The Fogs are not that good. And Caranthea has changed with exactly what I said. He's gone up to a 7 now, which is surprising. I didn't actually expect that. He's a 7 strength gold, but he only moves 3 units and applies Frost. And Frost, again, only hits 1 unit now. So, really, the movement is for Lacerate, I would say. Still might be quite decent, though. Might work well with him and stuff like that. A big change to Regis. We're coming close now. We're coming close to the end. Regis now does what he normally does, but he only actually consumes the base strength of the card. So you have to consider whether you want to eat a Protector. Normally, if you're eating a Protector or a Spotter, you are denying a lot, but you're not going to get buffed by the 18 strength they have. You'll only get buffed by the 2 or 4. Which makes him a lot harder to play, considering, you know, it means that he'll be an 8 or a 10 or something, rather than a large gold. So his actual value on the board is going to be quite low, unless you just eat like a 10 strength bronze from Nilfgaard or something. But you are denying a lot, and that's basically what he is. Yeah, denying cards is worth a lot. So especially spotters and stuff. But it's not going to be a double-edged sword now, where you deny something of 18 strength and you gain an 18 strength gold. One of the things they actually said is that here it is. Yeah, it's here. So this is they want to keep the game fun and address some of the issues. One of the issues was carryover, one of them was weather, and the other one was big uninteractable golds, and Regis was one of those. Bloody Baron, just some fixes. He's basically exactly the same. He goes to the deck at a certain point. He's got up to 7, which is nice. Nice change there. Leo Bonhart saw a massively big change here, which I'm surprised because Madman Lugos didn't. But although I did say that I thought Madman Leo Bonhart will change, I thought it would just be base strength lowering, but it's even worse than that. Reveal a unit in your hand, which can be gold, and damage an enemy by its power. It will now be damage an enemy by its base power. You can't reveal a spotter and damage for 18. You'll only damage for 4 because that's its base. Okay, so it's actually more worthwhile to reveal the Dalian foot soldiers, or maybe the 10 strength Nilfgaardian knight, or something like that. There's quite a few strong base strength Nilfgaard units, but the spotters have just been taken out of the equation, which is really surprising because Madman Lugos hasn't changed. And if you consider Leo Bonhart, let's say the spotter was 14, right? He's 6 and the spotter was 14, so that's 20 strength that he was. Whereas Madman Lugos is 7. Get rid of the Clan on Crate Raider on round 3, which is 6. So that's 7 add 6 because you actually get that card on the board. So that's 12 plus 7, you know. That's 19. That's quite a lot. And this is a lot easier to do because Madman Lugos can check in your deck. Not necessarily has to be in your hand, whereas Leo Bonhart, it has to be in your hand. Someone told me about this on YouTube, and I totally agree. Leo Bonhart is harder to use, although I don't think actually that hard. But Madman Lugos is better than Leo, and is way better than Leo now, because Leo can only do base power. But he gets double benefits. He'll always get 19 very easily. Madman also does base, even in the current version of the game. Yeah, it does say base power there. So that's true. So I guess Leo Bonhart and Madman are equalized. It's just a lot more beneficial for Madman, most likely. Although Leo Bonhart can do the Dalian foot soldiers, he gets a little bit more value because of veteran on the raiders. But yeah, so they're quite equalized now, I'd say. Still think he's still good though. Still a better version. Okay, so yeah, they didn't change Regis either. So this is where I'm starting to think that the big cards that no one uses. This is I think the most underused gold in the entire game. So when they said, oh, we're going to change cards that no one uses, they did do it to Overdose, but I don't think they've done it. I don't class this as the patch that they've done it to. Dandelion now shuffles, which is great. Can't moan at that. Stefan Skellen is a 10 now. I didn't think it was necessary, but that's what they chose to do. He is an 8, I think, partially because of the Cambi scenario, but yeah, he's an 8 now, so not as high strength. And finally, Hjalmar is 13. I said it would be 12, but Hjalmar is 13, so again, he's capped the same as Tibor at 23. But whenever the enemy Lord of Unvik is destroyed, boost south by 10, that part of the ability is now moved onto the Lord of Unvik. So the Lord of Unvik can be shackled by things like Fiend, Donna, Margarita, Orcs and stuff, and then the Hjalmar won't get his buff. So it's a lot easier to stop the Lord of Unvik with the silver shackles. Yeah. So, yeah, that ability is moved on to the Lord of Unvik. He's a maximum 23. Renew can only do from your graveyard, so you don't have to worry about the opponent renewing Hjalmar. And that's really all the changes. I mean, let me just check. Oh, there are a couple of other things at the beginning. So the hotfix very soon, in the next couple of days. I think maybe even tomorrow. You'll get scraps and powder when you scrap cards for the next 3 days only. And the beginners, about 1000 MMR, will never go down when they lose. So when you're a beginner, you can never go down in MMR, only go up. Yeah, ignoring armor change was very good. I think that's definitely good. So what's your favorite change? My favorite change is just having a quick look. It's going to be a change. I don't know. There's a couple of changes I could really say. I really like the change to the blood curdling roar, maybe. That's really annoying. I don't know. I've been wanting the villain Trettenmurph change for a long time now. Yeah, I've been wanting that villain Trettenmurph change for a long time, But I do feel a little bit sad about it too. Which is really weird. I didn't think I would. But I do. Yeah, so... very unusual. Well, obviously I like the frost change, so it's not so overwhelmingly powerful. But I just don't think it'll see much play. Yeah, there's a couple of changes that I enjoy. Yeah. I'm worried that he's not changed though.